What you're about to hear is a very edited down version of one of the more recent episodes of the BBS podcast where we talk about RangerStop Atlanta 2025. I'm editing this down specifically just to be my perspective of the 3 days that we were there, just for the sake of brevity and also sort of a preview of sorts. If you want to hear the full version of the episode, which includes the perspectives of my friends who I went with and who I honestly think are much more interesting, compared to my own. The link to that episode will be in the description of this video. But yeah, if all you care about is my perspective of the 3 days, that's what this video here is for. And just like with the Paramorphicon video, I will be providing timestamps for if you only care about specific little things. So yeah, with that, hope you enjoy this.
What about you, Stan? Anything about day one you want to mention?
It was the day I did the breakfast bar first, and they had a lot of stuff. It was pretty okay for the most part. To me, the highlight was there was this one dude who would make omelets for you, like right there in front of you if you wanted, right?
Oh,
And
nice,
so
yeah.
I'm sure he got sick of me because every day I ordered a fucking bacon and cheese omelet, and they were good omelets. I mean, so props to him, man. He does good work, but yeah, that covers basically breakfast for pretty much every day almost. After that, it was I kind of treated it the same way as I did PMC, where I just kind of wanted to walk around and interact with people and like look at all the cool merch and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there was some really cool stuff here I didn't even see at PMC. Like I really loved the Power Rangers pillows, for example.
Yeah.
Like the person who made those did a really good job. I was very tempted to buy some of them, to be honest. But yeah, and that just like cool artwork, cool little doodads. I did eventually buy some things. Like
Yeah.
I did buy a Black Ranger pin, and I wanted to be nice
Yeah, but
and
it's like,
get
what are
you a
doing,
Troy
bud?
pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like every single one that I knew you guys would like, they're like, yeah, we're out of stock on that, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Like
Well,
every
I think what was like, oh, you have to get it in like a bundle, or either that or it's a blind
for
bag.
the light speed ones, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of weird that specifically for light speed, it's like, oh, you have to get it in a bundle. I wonder what that was about.
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Are they perhaps planning something with light speed and are using that as a way to build up hype for the season?
I fucking wish, but probably not.
Yeah, that's one thing I was like, it'd be really cool. I don't know if it'll ever happen. It'd be cool if they did like a revival. And it's like, yeah, it'd be cool if they did like another Forever Red thing.
Yeah. But, so it was mainly that, but, when it comes to, like, the actors and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I might be misremembering here, because it's been a week, but, like, I'm gonna try and remember the order of which I got to them, right? So my first one was actually, Selwyn Ward, aka TJ, just because I was there for support with Troy, right?
Yeah.
And so I had a brief combo with him. So I'm probably not going to go over the conversations too much with all the actors, because I kind of said the same thing to every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas at PMC I had like a full-length conversation with like all of them. With these guys it was kind of short and to the point for most of them, with like a couple exceptions.
Yeah.
Because admittedly I'm just terrible at holding conversation in general. So like I would just ask them something pretty basic and like we'd move on and whatnot. But
If you don't mind me
yeah, 'cause,
saying
like-
real quick before you continue, sorry to cut in.
go ahead.
But I just want to. I know you just said you're not really good with the conversation, but seeing you interact with the other people there and doing your little judgment game, I thought you actually handled that really well. I thought so. From my
Thank you.
yeah, from my perspective, you seem to be more socially strong than I think you're giving yourself credit for.
Thanks. It was literally just me asking everybody 2 questions, but you know what? I'll take that win. Thanks. I mean,
Sure, of course.
but yeah, I didn't do the judgment game as much at this one. Although I did do it. Mainly just because, like, with me in the judgment game, it's sort of a vibe type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if I get a certain sense off somebody, I'll be like, hey, let's play this. But, you know, if I didn't feel that quite as strongly here with RangerStop, so I didn't pull it out as much.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, TJ was first, I'm pretty sure. And I was just kind of like, I was just kind of like hooking off of like Troy's combo with him because like me and him were like the only ones at the booth at that time,
Yeah.
and so we were just kind of making combo with him and like how Troy noted that TJ was his favorite Blue Ranger. I was like, yeah, and TJ's my favorite Red Ranger for Turbo. So, and if you remember, I did already meet him at PMC. I didn't ask if he remembered me because I doubt he did, and it didn't seem like he did either.
Yeah.
But and I'm not holding that against him. Like freaking, these guys deal with like hundreds of people very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was
like,
more just like a conversation piece when I mentioned it with Johnny. I wasn't expecting him to remember me either.
Right, yeah, like, so, again, I'm not holding that against anybody, it's understandable. I'd forget people, dude, I forget people I talked to, like, 10 minutes ago, like, you know, like, so, so, yeah, no, it's no grudge, no nothing, it's whatever. But, yeah, so, he was the first signature I got, and he just signed it with Shift into Turbo from TJ, you know, and I roughly played this the same way I did at PMC, where, like, if their line was empty and I was feeling the urge, I'd just go for it, right?
Yeah.
I did make a couple exceptions, though, but we'll get to that. So next was Nick Sampson, or Chip, the yellow Mystic Force Ranger. And, yeah, his line was empty, so I just went up and said hi to him. And I also had a photo op with him the next day, so I was like, you know what, sure, we'll get a signature with him. And so, yeah, I basically just told him, like, how Chip was my favorite in Mystic Force, because I've noticed there's a trend with me with, not every character I like from specific shows, but, like, for a lot of shows, right? Is I tend to like the more, like, energetic, like, happy-go-lucky guys.
Yeah.
More often than not. And Chip is very much that. And so, like, I was just telling him, like, yeah, you know, you brought great energy to the role and stuff, and like, he was being modest. He was like, oh, I don't think I was that good. And I'm like, shut up. But, fun fact, by the way, Nick Sampson's also a comedian. He does his own, like, shows and tours and stuff, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, do you ever plan to... Because he's from New Zealand, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And I was like, you ever plan to do... Because he's done shows in the U.S. before. I was like, do you ever plan to do a show in Michigan? He was like, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. Like, he's like, it depends. And I was like, well, if you ever do, I'll be there. And he's like, all right, sweet. So, yeah, he signed it, and he was like, thanks for coming all the way out here. And I'm like, dude, you came from further than me, but, you know, yeah, thanks. So after that was, I'm trying to remember, what was his name? What was it? Jack McGusman, that was his name. He played Danny in Wild Force, and he was my favorite. He was the guy who, like, and I'm not saying this to, like, to harp on him. I think I probably hit him at a bad time, because it seemed like he was trying to get somewhere, and then I just happened to, like, waltz up.
Sure.
So, like, he was like very much trying to, like, get through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying, like, how dare he, like, no, I get it. You know, like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, but yeah, I told him about how Danny was cool, and I liked his friendship with Max, and, like, one thing I knew about him was that he used to actually be like a professional extra, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing. You can be a professional extra in the acting world, and because, like, he's talked about it in interviews before, and he's like, dude, it's like the best job in the world. You just get paid to, like, walk in a straight line. It's fucking nice. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I hear it's like how a lot of upcoming actors sort of get a lot of work to, like, kind of pay for things and whatnot.
Right, yeah. And I was like, so how did you manage that transition? And he was like, well, I just kind of applied for Power Rangers, and for some reason they liked me, and so there it was. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I was like, oh, okay, got it, bro. Like, so, but yeah, no, I'm not. So that it was a brief thing with him. Who was after that? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I remember now, because this was around the time you walked up, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, you know, Carter's this way, right? And so originally I was also going to be support for Ryan, but then I noticed that the corner of the room where the Mighty Morphin guys were was getting smaller and getting cleared out, and I was like, I wonder what Walter's line is right now. So I waltzed over there. And his line wasn't small, but it was small enough where I was like, alright, I gotta do it now, right?
Yeah.
And that was also when I texted Troy, because I was like, Austin St. John's line right now is actually surprisingly small. You should probably get over here. Right? Like, but yeah, no, I had a brief combo with Walter Jones. I asked him, like, what he'd been up to lately. And he was like, oh, I actually released a new music video. I do music now. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah, check it out on my Instagram. And I was like, okay, bet. So I have not done that yet. I've been too busy, but I do plan to.
Yeah.
And not to diss my boy here, but he probably has the most boring signature out of everybody's. Because like he literally just signed his name. Like everybody else like gave me like a phrase,
Yeah.
right, or like a statement or something like that. He literally just signed Walter Jones and left it at that.
He didn't even sign the character name either.
No, he just signed Walter Jones.
Okay.
Which, you know what? Sure, whatever. And then after that was when I think you had wrapped up with Carter, and I was like, and I couldn't find you guys, and I was like, guys, we need to meet up, and you were like, I'm in line for JYB, and I was like, oh, okay. And this is where I felt bad for you, Ryan, because like, I walk up to meet you at JYB's line, and I was like, wait, express line's empty. I'm just gonna slip right in here.
Yeah, that's
and
what.
like,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Troy.
No, I was gonna, yeah, that's when I got like to talk to JYB was with Stan, because like you said, like the express lane was empty, and he went in there, and I was behind him, and each time like someone with like VIP or express was in line, and if there was just a regular there's a ton of regular people, it didn't even matter. They would have the express people and VIP people go next, which I kind of felt bad for, because like, dude, it sucks to be waiting in line for 15 minutes, and then to see someone walking the express lane which has no one in it, and they go before you. I felt bad doing that, but I mean, I didn't talk forever to him. Only thing I got to do was just ask him about if he knew about Dragon Ball before signing on to do Broly.
Yeah.
Which he said he had watched a few episodes, but wasn't, he didn't know, everything about it prior.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, continue, Stan. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's all good. But yeah, no, I just felt bad for Ryan, because Ryan's like, oh boy, I'm going to meet JYB, and then me and Troy just like, no, you're not. Just like...
No, it was all good. The line didn't really take... I was actually kind of surprised, because, again, going back to Anime Week in Atlanta, and part of this might have been because, since I had missed his actual signing time, that's another thing people will do. They'll go to their panels, and they'll try to catch them in between panels and stuff. I did that for Toshio Furukawa, Piccolo's Japanese voice actor, because I missed his signing back then. But I'd gone to his concert, and he was doing a signing after it. That line was long. Like it seemed to wrap around the entire corner of the area. And I'm like, dang. But comparatively to here, it didn't really seem like it was that long. And even then, I'm fine with waiting. And he was nice to talk to as well. So
JYB was cool. Mainly when I went up to him, I basically just it's funny, I didn't really talk about Adam that much, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the character he played, for those who don't know. I talked to him about his other work, and I was like, bro, I'm really digging the direction you've been doing with your stuff lately. I really loved you as Gento and Ultraman Blazer, and I even told him because for those who haven't seen that show, Gento's a very mellow kind of character. He's very down to earth, right? He doesn't really get super emotive that often. And so from my perspective, that's a pretty unique role for JYB to do from the stuff I'm used to him voicing and stuff.
Right.
And so I was just like, yeah, so that was really cool to see you pull that off. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. And so yeah, then he had the biggest signature out of everybody. Like, he took up the whole ass bottom of the page. Like, so I should mention what I've been having everybody sign, which was Power Rangers: The Ultimate Visual History.
Yeah.
Which is the 25th anniversary book that Saban did for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And people were so jealous of that book, dude. like I had a lot of. Go on, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, like, yeah, both regular people and Rangers were jealous of you.
Yeah,
for having
like,
that book.
Like, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, because but yeah, no, like, other con-goers were like, holy shit, where'd you get the book? And I'm like, I got it when it came out, and they're like, bro, what? So, and then, yeah, like, even Troy said, like, some of the actors even like, oh man, you got the Power Rangers Bible, and they would, like, flip through it. So, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm go on.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Carter was, like, impressed that you had the book.
Yeah, we'll get to him, but,
yeah.
But yeah, there's like two really blanks, like completely blank pages at the start and the back of the book. I just had the actor sign those, but and it'll just be my personal little autograph book until it gets too full, and then I have to think of something else for people to sign. But yeah, and then after JYB, I did Brandon J. McLaren, I believe his name is, if I'm remembering correctly. He is SPD Red, for those who don't know, aka Jack. And so, I basically just talked with him briefly about how I appreciated how he brought Jack to life, pretty much. And I told him how I rewatched SPD recently, actually, for the show's anniversary. And how one of the more underrated aspects of Jack's character was his intuition. Like, he always knew when something was up, right? And, like... and I felt like I was kind of dominating the conversation a little bit on this one, sadly, because, like, pretty much all of his responses were like, yeah, man, you got it. Like, he was just rolling with it. And so I was like, can you sign this? And he was like, yeah, no problem. And so he did. And I think that was about it for day one that I can remember. Wait, no, there's one other thing. Oh, wait, no, I already noted the pin, didn't I? I think I did.
Yeah, the pin where, like, you were able to get
Yeah. So that was pretty much it for day one. Yeah, pretty much. From my perspective, at least. Other than that, it was just, like, walking around taking pictures with, like, cosplayers.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I surprisingly didn't take too many pictures of cosplayers myself. That's usually one of the things that fills up my my con-going photo album, so to speak, is stuff with different cosplayers, but I didn't this time. There was one
dressed Lightspeed.
There was one I wanted to get. There was a woman with I don't remember what Ranger she was dressed as, and she was doing it without the helmet, and she had like this like blonde curly hair. I thought she looked cool, so I wanted to get her picture. I noticed her when I was waiting for Johnny Young Bosch, and she was talking to a kid, and I didn't see her after that, so I missed that opportunity. But otherwise, yeah, it was mainly just.
That is too one thing I want to note about this experience that I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, Power Morphicon, it was primarily adults who were all there. Like, there was a couple kids, but it was, like, 99.9% adults, right?
Yeah.
Here, like, that's not to say that the con was filled with kids, because it wasn't. But, like, there was notably more than there. And, like, those kids were having, like, the time of their life, and I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. You had mentioned that you had seen some people that you saw at Power Morphicon as well here.
Yeah, I recognized a couple faces. Yep.
Yeah, that makes me kind of wonder how many people were from Atlanta who went and did the same thing you did, or if they were doing the same thing you're doing and like traveling to different states.
Yeah, right. Which, by the way, on that note, my big motivation for going to RangerStop Atlanta here was because of how they had announced that it was going to be the last one.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, I might as well go. But then once the con ended, they announced, "Hey, we actually sold the rights to the dude who runs Toylanta, so the con will keep going." And I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, apparently Toylanta is actually a decently big show, so like that could be good things for the con.
Yeah, I was.
Go on.
I was tempted. I'm not now that I know that Toyland is a thing, because I think you brought it to my attention years ago or some time ago. It'd be kind of fun to go there. I keep looking. Also, this is kind of funny. I keep looking at Pixel Dan's like social medias, just waiting for him to be like, "Hey, I was at RangerStop." I'm like, man, I missed him again, because he's been to Atlanta like twice. And I've missed him like every single time. He was at the toy store that we went to next to Dr. No's, Troy.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
he did a whole video about it. I'm like, bro, I should have. I wanted to meet him, but I didn't see too many. Not that I would be able to recognize them, but I didn't see too many content creators at the Ranger Stop. I don't know if there are any people who are actually trying to do that. And of course, I only went for one day.
There were a couple, but
Yeah,
not nearly
yeah,
as
there
much
were a
as TMZ.
few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Because, yeah, I saw a few people with those, like, small little sticks that had a tiny little camera on it that they could swerve around. And
yeah.
then they had, that tiny mic that people have now for, videos.
Yeah, I did see someone trying to interview one of the actors and had her hold the mic and everything. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, but like with the kids, like this wasn't on day one. I think it was on like day 3. Remember right? And Troy will know what I'm talking about because he was there.
Yes.
But like,
yeah, it was day 3.
But like, I just want to note like one example of these kids having the time of their life. There was this one little boy who was dressed as like the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, and he was there with his dad. And that kid was living it up because his dad was spoiling the fuck out of him. I'm not gonna lie. Like everything that kid touched was like, oh my god, this is so cool. His dad would just buy it for him. Like
nice.
It's just like, yeah. So yeah, he was living it up, dude. Like
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's But anyway, I guess the ultimate lesson of all this, because this has now happened twice, is that if you hear that a con is dying, pay to send me to it, and it'll get revived. Apparently, like that. Like,
You're the con whisperer.
I guess that's the ultimate lesson. Yeah, apparently. Like that said, though, I highly doubt I'll be at next year's Ranger Stop.
Yeah.
Because I'm already paying for PMC next year, so I
Right.
doubt I'll have the spare money.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's a hard maybe for me. I don't know if I'm not really a con goer these days. One, because of my schedule, and two, I am quite introverted. So,
I might.
which is funny because like I didn't really feel that drained, unless it was like a really involved situation that I maybe got a little drained. But overall, I didn't really. I almost felt a little more empowered.
Yeah, no, the positive energy gets to you at these events for sure.
Yeah.
I might go again next year if my brother can go,
Oh yeah.
because I know my nephew would love to go. Because
Yeah, your nephew who did nothing but loop the theme song over and over. That nephew.
no, the other one.
Okay.
The one that you didn't meet on Sunday
Gotcha.
that you could have met. But we'll get back to Sunday once we get to Sunday in the review of this past week.
Yeah.
But I gotta get up real quick because my cat took a crap.
Oh boy. I also met his cat, but we'll get to that later.
I guess then we should probably go into day 2 then.
Yeah. So, since he's up, I guess I'll start with day 2. It was relatively more of the same. Like, I can't really go into too much detail there. It was definitely the biggest day of the 3. It was the most packed out of all of them.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which made me glad that I got most of my signatures out of the way, like on day 1. Like,
Yeah.
But it was definitely more just interacting with people and looking at merch and stuff, because like a couple other booths had popped up, right?
Yeah.
And there's like two specific things though that happened during day 2 that I do want to wait for Troy to pop up for before I talk about them. So
Sure.
I'm just gonna instead talk about. I did get one bonus signature, and that was your boy Carter.
Yeah,
Because,
I saw that one.
Yeah, because there was a moment where his line was like mostly cleared up, and I was like, you know what? Everyone else was on the Carter train. I'll just do it. What? Sure. So I walked up, said hi. And like you guys said, he was very nice. He was a very positive guy. And he didn't have the most involved combo, in my opinion, but he definitely was more involved than the others, or many of the others, I should say. And, I just said, hi, I love your work. And I asked him something specific because it was pertaining to Lightspeed. Because for those who don't know, for most of the show's history, and now it's not every season, but for a while it was every season, like, martial arts was at the forefront.
Right.
Like, straight up, right? Like they would specifically hire, like, trained martial artists to play the characters.
Yeah.
So that way the fighting would be authentic, right? And Lightspeed Rescue was the first one where martial arts and combat wasn't at the forefront because it was a rescue team, right?
Yeah.
Their main priority was saving people, not specifically murdering monsters, right?
Yeah.
And so, I brought that up to him. I was like, I don't know if you know about, seasons before yours, but, like, Lightspeed was the first where, like, martial arts was, like, the secondary thing, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, okay, so are you aware of how that was, like, different for, like, the audition process or, like, signing up for the role or whatever? And he actually did know a decent amount, surprisingly. He was like, yeah, so when it came to, the other seasons, for the most part, they were looking for fighters who could act, right?
Yeah.
But for Lightspeed, they were looking for actors who were willing to learn how to fight. And he was like, for me, it wasn't that different from a typical audition. I just had to kind of show off a few kung fu moves, maybe. And according to him, he actually does know some martial arts, like, not a whole lot, but, like, some basics, right?
Interesting. I'm guessing you mentioned kung fu, so is that kind of what he knows?
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I mean, I just said that as, like, an example. He didn't literally say kung fu.
Okay.
He just said, like, fighting poses. But, and so but he actually took the conversation a step further, which I was not expecting. He was like, the exception to this rule was actually Michael, who played our Blue Ranger, Chad. And I was like, really? And I did not know this, actually. He was like, yeah, no, Chad was actually a stunt actor before he became the Blue Ranger.
That explains a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, so he would show us up on set all the time. And I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, makes sense. So he was like, yeah, so that was cool of him. And then I also asked him, so, because, like, there was no one behind me, so I was like, you know what, I'll throw in one extra question. I was like, what was your favorite aspect of Carter? And he was like, oh, that's a good question. That's actually a twist on, like, the most common question I get, so I appreciate that. And I'm like, okay, you're welcome, I guess. So, like, but he was like, yeah, actually, my favorite aspect of Carter has always been how selfless he is. Because, like, because Carter was always gunning to, like, fight for everyone else's sake, even if he himself had to suffer at times for it. And I think that's a really honorable quality that goes underrated with a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I get that. And like, I had never made this comparison, but, like, I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but, like, he essentially compared Carter to, like, Captain America.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, so I really dug that about Carter and how he always stood for, like, the greater good and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Right on, dude.
Yeah.
So then he actually asked me what would I like him to sign, and I was like, shit, dude, I don't know. I didn't, like, no one else was asking me this.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I was like, how about we go with one of the, like, key Carter phrases, you got it. And he was like, you got it, and he just wrote it down. I'm like, cute. So yeah, he wrote that down. And so now, since Troy's back, I want to note 2 specific things. I'm gonna go in order of importance, as in least to most important. So, towards the end of the day, Troy took me to one of the, I guess, more popular spots around Atlanta or Georgia or whatever.
It's one of the most well-known places around Atlanta.
Yeah, and I had to be a stick in the mud about it. Like, yeah, he took me to the place called the Varsity. And like, from my perspective, I can get why it would be popular if you're there for like a sort of like sports bar-esque experience, right?
Yeah.
I get that, but for me, I was just like, it's just kind of mid. Like, it's okay, you know? Like, whatever.
Oh, and also, too, Ryan will understand this. Ryan, we got, like, the quietest cashier ever.
Oh, wow.
Like, she said, you know, like, so, like, the phrase that the cashiers say when you're about to order is, what will you have?
Yeah. And they say it loud too. It's like, what do you have?
Yeah. Yeah, what do you have? This girl, she went, what do you have?
What do you have?
What will you have?
Yeah.
And I was just like, lady, you are ruining this experience.
The experience. It's whatever. So after that, though, we also got Zaxby's, which that was actually a pretty good place because we don't have Zaxby's near me. So
yeah, Zaxby's is awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like the best chicken I've had, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome.
Yes, since I actually ate at the Varsity, I got cookies at Zaxby's because I like their cookies.
Oh.
But I want to give a special shout out to someone cool we met on day 2. I want to give a shout out to Julio. I doubt he's gonna listen to this. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
But
Julio's cool. He was so cool.
Yeah. So while we were waiting in line to get into the venue, right? One guy and his girlfriend end up getting in line behind us, and I don't remember what sparked the conversation, but we just kind of started talking. And we were just talking about like the show and what era we grew up in.
It might have started with his attire.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, because he was wearing the Venom hoodie, and I was like, "Dude, that's a dope hoodie." And he was like, "Oh yeah, thanks." Like, so,
yeah, I remember we talked about like I can't believe you were wearing that in like this Georgia heat, and he talked about how it was. It
had the mesh paneling, so he was still cool and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember. And yeah, he was, because he was only there for that day, so he was asking me about like the venues and stuff. Me showing off how I am an epic, knowledgeable Power Ranger fan, you know, he was asking me about like, hey, you know, do you know where I could find like a Dino Thunder Morpher, because like that's his favorite season, and he was primarily there to see Dino Thunder White and Blue because they were at the venue. And I was like, yeah, I got you. And so I led him to the Toe Collectibles booth where they had the collector's edition of that and whatnot. And yeah, we made good conversation whenever we bumped into each other and whatnot. He was a cool guy. I took a photo with him. And he was very happy to get his Morpher and his signatures. And he also bought a set of Dino Gem replicas too, which that was cool.
Yeah. Also, I want to real quickly, probably the funniest moment happened while we were waiting to go in day 2 with Julio. It was with I'm sure you remember this, but it was with Walter Jones when he was coming in and he was trying to get into the venue. He tried. So I'll preface real quickly. So at this hotel, like you have to have a key card to open any door, and if you don't have it, it's just locked. Walter tried every single door before going into the door that's already open. to get in the venue, and I didn't laugh, like super loud, but I, chuckled inside. Just the comedic thing of him just trying every door, trying to go in, and instead of going through the one door that was open.
It was funny. And what was also funny was Julio also shared a brain cell with you where he was like, a lot of the actors are a lot shorter than I thought they'd be. And I'm like, oh my god, why is everyone going after their height? Like, what?
It's just when you're a kid, you think everyone's super tall.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much my day 2 summed up. So it's up to Troy if he has anything additional he wants to throw in or like whatever.
Yeah.
What about you, Stan? Oh,
So, I think I noted it earlier, but just in case I didn't. Day 2, my photo shoot was with Nick Sampson. Mystic Yellow. That was cool. So
Yeah.
that was him. For day 3, my photo shoot was with Jeffrey Perazzo, who is Dino Thunder White. And it was kind of funny because I walk up in the photo booth and he was like, hey man, yeah, sorry, I don't have my helmet to pose with you because someone actually bought it, like as soon as I sat down for the con, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay. And so, Kevin Duhaney, who played the Blue Ranger, he was like half joking, he was like, you could always pose with my helmet, and I was like, you know what, yeah, sure. And so that's why in the photo with him, you see him holding the Blue Ranger helmet, like, just because of that. But yeah, no, he was cool. He was very friendly. I wish I had gotten his signature, but oh well, it would have put me way over budget. So, perhaps next time, Mr. Perazzo. But it mainly came down to just looking at more like merch and props, like Troy said. I don't know about you, Troy, but I collected a lot of business cards throughout this con.
Oh yeah, I did too. Yeah, everyone like wanted you to take a business card. Like if you're just looking at their table, even if you weren't buying them. And
yeah,
yeah.
I also speaking of the photo booths too, though, I also want to note one other thing that happened. I think this was during day 1, but I could be misremembering. And this is where I make fun of Troy a little bit. Actually, this might have been during day 2, because I don't know if you were there, Ryan. I don't think you were. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. At one point, while we were waiting for a photo shoot, there was this one fan, and, everybody's there waiting for their photos. They're talking about the show and, like, stuff like that, whatever. There's this one very eccentric fan there who walks up and he's like starting to talk to like everybody, and he's like very excited talking about just like stuff about Power Rangers in general, right?
Yeah, this was day 1. This was day 1.
This was day 1? Okay, I thought so. Troy then just turns to me and goes, I bet that guy has autism. And I was like, wow!
I said high-functioning autism.
But it's just...
I don't know, that makes a difference.
I don't remember this. I must have not been there.
Like...
No, you weren't. Because I only went with him for the photo shoot for Bulk and Skull.
Okay.
Yeah,
All the other ones, he went on his own.
Yeah, so...
And yet, Ryan, this was when like those 2 other fans with the thick Southern accents were talking with us.
Oh, yeah. When we were sitting down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the guy that had the what was it? It was the Dino Gems, I think it was.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Dino Gems, yeah. But, like, I just thought it was really funny. Like, and I know you weren't being, like, mean or malicious, Troy. That's why it's funny. But yeah, you were just like, yeah, I bet he has autism. I'm like, damn, dude, okay. But
it's just I've met a lot of people who like act like that and have that kind of same type of a speech pattern that he
okay.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It's whatever. But But yeah, no. Anyway, back to the collecting of cards. There are definitely some business cards I'm gonna follow up on because there was some merch there that I did want to buy that I didn't have the money for. One thing I did buy though, because I'd been calling my name that whole time, was we talked about the 3D cards.
Yeah.
There was a Spawn card at that booth that I think just looks so cool. It looks so cool, and like it was calling my name, and I was like, you know what? If it's not bought by the last day, I'm gonna buy it. And it was not bought by the last day, so I bought it.
Nice.
So.
And also, you bought it very early in the day too. You wasn't like,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, hey, we're about to leave. Let's check to see if it's still there. It was no like, it was like, like we had been there for like maybe like 20 minutes, and it was like, all right, well, I'm getting this card.
It was calling my name. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Also, too, one that I definitely want to follow up on is there was actually a dude who apparently was a prop maker for a few of the seasons, including the Turbo movie.
Yeah.
He started making his own custom props based off stuff from the comics.
Oh yeah, that
okay.
guy. Yeah, he was really cool to talk to.
Yeah,
It was really you talking to him, not me. I was just standing there.
yeah, like, and like I basically pop quizzed him because like I saw that he had the Omega Morphers on display, or at least 3 out of the 4. And I actually do want a black Omega Morpher, which is why I'll be using that business card at a later date when I have more money. And so I quizzed him. I was like, "Hey, what are these?" And he was like, "Oh," and like he was selling them to me basically. He's like, "Oh, these are the Omega Morphers because in the comics, blah blah blah." And he like goes into the backstory, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And like I didn't even have to prompt him. He then just started talking about like his creative process when it comes to prop making and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, neat, bro." And so I took one of his cards, and I was like, "I'll be sure to use this later." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I appreciate it." So, but yeah, I definitely want a black Omega Morpher for sure. And then also, speaking of spending money, Troy was nice enough to buy me my Christmas/birthday present for the year while we were there.
Oh yeah.
So that was very nice of him. So thank you, Troy.
Yes, because you already. Did you already say that what had happened earlier?
No, so what happened was that I'm an idiot who can't read. That's what happened. Because like I have an account with Toku Collectibles on their official website. Yes, they don't just vend at conventions. They're an official merch store. You can order from them. And I saw that they had a Black Megazord toy there that is actually pretty rare nowadays. And I wanted it because, you know, again, it's rare. It's right there, and I really wanted it. So I went and I bought it. And so then I get a ping on my phone, and I'm like, wait a minute. So my dumbass did not realize, because like I paid through card. My dumbass did not realize that they basically auto-linked my order to my account on the website.
Cool.
And so I was thumbing through my past orders on the website, and I was like, wait, did I already buy one and I just forgot? And I legit thought that's what happened, because like I saw the order in my past orders, and I'm like, fuck! So I was like, I guess I pre-ordered it and then forgot. Which, that's happened before, like once or twice to me.
Yeah.
Especially if like if like a product keeps like getting delayed over and over, right?
Yeah.
So I walk up back to the booth and I'm like, hey guys, yeah, sorry. And I told them about what I thought had happened. And I'm like, so do you mind if I exchange this for something of like equal value? And they're like, yeah, that's no problem, whatever. They're very cool. Excuse me. So I exchanged it for this Lightning Collection 2-pack that I wanted.
Yeah.
That was an early one that I missed out on. So I got that. And then like later when I was like just thumbing through my emails and stuff like that, which was during day 3, I was like, wait, shit. And I saw the date that the order went through. It was yesterday at this point. I'm like, oh, they just auto-added it to my account and I didn't realize. I'm a fucking moron. Like, and so I asked her, I was like, hey, if you want to get me my holidays present here, you can get me the fucking black Megazord toy. And Troy was like, yeah, okay. And so he just got it for me.
Yeah, and I just remember you saying, I don't want to look like a fool in front of him.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to look like an asshole. Like, so please, you have to go do it. And he was like, yeah, okay, no problem. So, but yeah, and then the final thing for that day for me, at least that I can somewhat clearly remember, is the final signature I got, which was from Abraham Rodriguez, aka Nate from Beast Morphers. So,
See that? You go on. I was just gonna say that whole adventure was amazing.
Yeah.
What?
So there's a bit of a story to this one. Because, like, at first I wasn't really feeling getting another signature from anybody. But I noticed when it came to the Beast Morphers actors, the three of them that were there, gold, blue, and red, they had their own little corner. And there was this one lady who was there for, I feel like, the whole fucking day.
Yes.
Like, and like I didn't notice her at first, but like as I was walking around, and I was like, wait, is that same lady? Like, and like every like 10-ish or so like minutes, or at least it felt like that I was walking by that area, I was like, is she still there? Like, and so at one point I just parked myself like in the corner just to watch because I'm invested now. This lady was chatting them up for, I swear to God, a whole ass hour, if not more.
Dang.
Like, I was like, when are they gonna tell her to get lost? Like, I'm so fucking like she had to have been a friend of theirs or something. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can figure, right?
Yeah, and also too, she only had to stop talking because other people were there waiting to talk to them.
Right, yeah. Like, at long last, like, one brave soul kind of just, like, nudged her out of the way. Like, so he could get his turn, right? And so that was when I was like, you know what? I invested in this saga. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna complete it, right? So I line up for Mr. Rodriguez, and like, I thought our conversation was a pretty good one, me personally. Because like he's a writer actually, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think if I'm remembering right, he specifically does poetry. I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
It's poetry. He had his poetry books like for.
Yeah. So, because like I follow him on Insta and I've heard him read some excerpts from his poems before,
Yeah.
and I don't think he's bad at all. I think he does a pretty decent job. And so, you know, I asked him, like, how his writing going? And he was like, and, like, I guess that sparked something in him, because he, like, started, like, motor-mouthing. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, I feel like my writing's come a really long way, and, like, I'm starting to talk about these, like, deep personal subjects, and he's, like, going off, and I'm like, dude, that's, and, like, I'm not making fun of him. It's cool to see his energy.
Yeah.
Right? And so then, like, yeah, you know, and I just kind of complimented him in his role as Nate. And I was like, you know, as like a fellow Latino, you know, it was cool to see you repping us like that. And he was like, yeah, you know, cool, man, thanks. And so, and he was the first time anyone has signed something of mine wrong. So I have that unique experience. So, like...
and he felt so bad doing it, too.
Yeah, like... And... Because, like, here's what happened. Like, I get why he made the mistake, right? Because, like, I'd only introduced myself at the start of the conversation because, duh, right? And, like, our conversation went for, like, a minute, right? And so I was like, hey, you know, can you sign the Power Rangers book? And he was like, oh, you've got this book. And he like, started flipping through it. And he was like, dude, he was like, do they talk about my season? And he was very sad to see that they only very briefly mention it, like, in the very back of the book. He was like, oh, dang. And I was like, well, yeah, the book was made when Beast Morphers was, like, about to air, so they don't really talk about it much. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so he flips to the back where I want him to sign. And he sees JYB's big-ass signature at the bottom of the page. See, we're coming full circle now. And JYB signed it as Adam. Okay? And so... his brain is like, okay, Adam, got it. And so he starts off signing as to Adam, and I was like, no, bro, my name is Stanley. And he's like, oh my god, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He like starts flipping, and I'm like, no, dude, it's cool. Like, and so he was like, how do I recover from this? And I'm like, you could turn it into like a joke. And he was like, good idea. and so and so like he did. He made it like an in character thing where Nate like mistakenly signed it, and he was like, oh crap, like you can see it in the photo, but you know what, like I wasn't lying. Like I think he might have thought this. So Mr. Rodriguez, if you're listening to this, I doubt it, but you know, in case you are, I was not lying to you when I said I thought the whole signature was like unique and I thought it was cool. I legit do like that about it. So yeah, you know, good job on being a standout from everybody else. Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, he was very nice about the whole thing, and like, you know, we fist bumped a couple times. It was cool.
Also, to talk about the change.
Oh yeah. So like the ATM at the hotel only deals 20s, and so I had overpaid by $10. And he was like, "Oh shoot, I don't have change on me. Can you come back like later in the day and I'll have it for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so, yeah, no, it was like a photo finish because like Troy really wanted to leave, and Abraham showed, because I think he was getting back from like a panel or something, and like he showed up like I think with like 5 to 10 minutes to spare. So like, yeah, I did get my 10 from him, and
yeah, and also too, while he's doing that, because I was also trying to like say goodbye to TJ, because like I said, I wanted to be the best guy I saw, and he wasn't there like either. So I was like, oh, that sucks. And then like, so once Rodriguez came back, like I looked to see like I was going with Santa to see him, which I did, and I looked down and I was like, oh, there's TJ, I can say goodbye to him. And so it was very. I was very surprised on how everything worked out in the end. With all that.
Also, like, I gotta put Troy and technically Abraham both on blast at once just because I thought it was kind of funny. There was, as we were like, this was after the first meeting, if I'm remembering correctly. We were like getting ready to walk off to do whatever. And at one point, he gets up from his chair to like hug somebody he knows, right? That he recognized. And I just see this look on Troy's face, and I'm like, I know what you're thinking, don't you say it. And Troy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I know exactly what you're thinking, Troy, shut the fuck up. And I know what he was thinking. He was thinking about how short Abraham is, because that dude was like, and that, because like Abraham's like 5'0" nothing. Like, seriously. Wow. And like, again, I'm not making fun of him. It's just the fact of the matter. Like, okay, like, you know. So yeah, like I just thought it was a funny exchange, like me and Troy had mainly. Like so yeah, freaking. So that was it for like the con stuff. It was a good experience overall for sure. I had a lot of fun, me personally. Now, before we go, there actually is one other thing I wanted to note. I actually did forget to talk about one interaction during the podcast episode proper, so I'll do it here. So a little bit of bonus content for you guys who listen to this whole video upload. So you're welcome, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, there was a cosplayer there who I had a pretty cool run-in with. Now, at the time of this recording, it's been like, gosh, almost 2 weeks since the con. So if I'm misremembering your name, I'm sorry, but I believe he said his name was Matty. He was, I had seen him walking around the convention the previous 2 days, because this was day 3 when I had talked to him, and I noted he had this really long earring that was really cool looking, and it reminded me of the character Tsubasa from Garo. So I approached him, said hi, and I was like, hey man, sorry if I'm bothering you. And like, to sum up our conversation, I pretty much told him about how I thought he would be really good cosplaying as Tsubasa. Like, I feel like he would be able to pull that look off really well, and showed him some photos. And he was like, oh yeah, that guy looks cool, and and so I told him how, you can find Garo on YouTube for free to watch, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll check it out." And and we kind of briefly talked about like both ourselves and also the convention and whatnot, and we did run into each other a little bit throughout day 3, but we just kind of said hi in passing. We didn't really do any like detailed convos, but. But yeah, no. So, Maddie, if you're listening to this, I do hope to see you in that cosplay in the future, or maybe pictures floating around or something. I don't know. Or if I got your name completely wrong, my apologies. But yeah, hope if you decide you don't want to go for it though, hey man, totally cool. I just wanted to get that off my chest. But anyway, with that out of the way, that's pretty much it for DreamSword at RangerCon. I hope you guys found it an interesting listen, and until whatever I decide to talk about next, take care.